What is up, Flockers? That is my fellow Lockers and aspiring Lockers. Let's go ahead and jump right into this video. I am 29 months into this lock journey. For those that don't like the month count, we are 2 years and 5 months into this lock journey. I have been loving every moment of it, and the further I get into it, the more I love it, because the first thing I'll talk about is that my roots are not marrying the way that they used to. I'm not having to pop my locks the same way that I used to before. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't have any marrying or any popping that I have to do, but it is very minimal. I am 8 weeks post retie, and even after I freshly wash my hair after 8 weeks post retie, I am not having to go through and separate each lock after a wash. I'm not having to pop locks. I think I might have had maybe one or two that a couple of days later, I felt like they were, as I was running my fingers through, felt like, oh, okay, there's a little section right there that I was able to just go in and quickly pop. But for the most part, the locks are locking and they are staying in place and they are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, I do have some, not trouble areas, but areas in certain parts of my head where the hair does just grow outside of the lock, especially in this back portion of my head. And that has not changed since day one. So there's not really, I don't even worry about it anymore. I used to worry about it. At this point, I'm just like, I've accepted it. It's just part of my journey and part of the way it is. So I don't know how well you can see it, but like here, I've got a whole chunk of hair that's just sitting out and not in a lock at all. So when I go in to do my retie, eventually I will wrap the hair around the lock, which is what I do in between. I will wrap the hair around whatever lock I feel like it should be in. But when I go in to do my retie, I will wrap it around first before I do the rotations, just to hope that it stays locked in within that lock and that I can incorporate it in that lock moving forward. The next thing that I'm really loving is my retie schedule. When I first started out, I was adamant about not retying my hair every 4 weeks. I just felt like that was too often. And for me, the hassle and the maintenance of every 4 weeks, it just wasn't long enough. I'm like, if I'm gonna have locks, especially Microlocs and interlocking, I want this to last longer than just 4 weeks for it to be worth it for me. So when I first started, I believe I started at 5 weeks. And for a while, I was doing 5-week intervals. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, cool. I think I'm a year into this journey now, I can go 6 weeks. And so I started doing 6 weeks. And then probably at 2 years, I started doing 7 weeks. And now that I'm almost 2.5 years in, I really feel like I can go 8 weeks, which is what we're at now. And I mean, looking at it, I don't think it looks bad. If I look at the roots, the most that my hair has grown is we got about 1 inch of new growth, which is right on par for how fast they say most people's hair grows, about 1/2 inch a month. So we're 2 months in and seems like we got about 1 inch of growth. So seems like things are going really well and my hair is growing at the length it's supposed to. But like I said, I don't have to worry about that inch of hair causing a bunch of marrying and then thinning locks and having to pop them, because I'm so far into this journey that my locks are growing out the way that they should without doing all that extra curricular work. Another thing that I'm loving about my locks since day one and even 2.5 years into this journey is wash days. My wash days have slightly changed over the time, but not much. For the most part, my wash days are very simple. I keep it to a shampoo that is for my scalp. You can probably hear that child in the background, but we just gonna keep it pushing because they never want to be screaming and making noise until you're trying to make a video. Anywho, like I said, the wash day routine is very simple. I use Nizoral, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I have very flaky and dry scalp. I don't know if it's seborrheic dermatitis. I self-diagnosed, but I'm just gonna call it that. So I get very dry, flaky scalp, like the huge flake chunks that will pop off at you. And so I started using Nizoral, get it off of Amazon, and it works wonders. And I use that, I dilute it a little bit, use that as my shampoo. And then I'll go back with some Aussie conditioner and use that as my conditioner, put that on for a couple of minutes, and then I rinse that out. My wash day takes less than 10 minutes, probably less than 6 minutes, honestly. Boom, bam, we're in and we're done. So I'm really loving that. I love the quickness, the convenience. I love wash and go, really being a wash and go, where I can wash and go out of my house, go where I need to go, and not be tied down, having to wait for my hair to dry or having to wait for my hair to set or anything like that before I can go out in public or whatever the case may be. Unraveling and bunching is another thing that I have never had to deal with since day one. Having Braidlocs and the just thickness and texture of my hair and the density and all that, I've never had any issues with bunching or unraveling. So from day one to now 2 years and 5 months in, still having no issues with bunching or unraveling. So I've been really blessed and fortunate with that, and really loving just that portion of this journey as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button so I know what type of videos you're enjoying, and also hit the subscribe button so that you can join the flock. And before you go anywhere, check out some of the other videos that have popped up on the screen. I'll see you later.